We are recording. Like I said, if you uh, don't want to be recorded for posterity in terms of the things you type in chat, then be aware that this is being recorded. I did want to let you know that sort of the style. This is going to be a little bit different style, particularly for those that have been on steering before, because usually we call in on a conference call and people chat on the side. I really do want to encourage you guys to chat with one another as I'm talking through some things. At some point, I'm going to leave some time open for questions. And the other thing is that if you want to chat with somebody in particular, you can just chat with between you and an individual. So the rest of us won't necessarily see what it is you're talking about. So you can explore that as well as we go through this. Um, so welcome to our second virtual general membership meeting. Um, as you can see in the file share, there are just a boatload of documents that you can download that are related to minutes, treasurer's reports. Some of these things, I'll briefly talk about, but I did put them up there because they have some context to the agenda as we work through it. Um, Over on the left-hand side is the agenda, and before I get started, I did want to make a plug for Sarah. There are some vacancies. Um, I'm just basing this on the last one I saw. She might have filled some of those, but I am sure if you contact her or even contact Sherry Laster, they can find some places for you to be active as a member. So uh, we'll go through some of this will be similar to the protocol that we do at annual, so it will seem somewhat formal, and I apologize ahead of time for that, but that's what we'll do. So what I did at the Orlando meeting was I had all of the people on steering stand up. Um, what I'm going to ask you guys to do, if you were on steering this last year, you'll see a little place for you to raise your hand. If you can go up to the top there and raise your hand. Okay. Okay. And then for those that weren't on steering, you can go up there and you can actually click on something that says applause. This steering group did just an amazing job this last year, and I really appreciated all of the hard work they did. I will say that it's been a privilege working with them, so this is your opportunity to applaud their work. And again, if you want to be part of that next cohort, feel free to do that as well. So, okay, you'll have to go in, I guess, and unraise your hand. Um, I guess I don't use that feature a lot, but I just decided to be clever and cute. So there you go. Okay, so let's go through the introductions. If you haven't had a chance, put your name and your institution over there on the right. We do. That does help us a lot as we think about our future and people we need to contact. So a little bit of housekeeping initially. Um, we did adopt the agenda. Uh, we we could formally do that here. Barbie Selby uh, moved that we adopted, and Don Daniels seconded that motion. So our agenda passed at Orlando. We could do that here, but I'm not going to do that. So the midwinter minutes. What we did approve were the minutes that were printed in DDTP, which I wasn't able to put up in this file share, but if you have your latest issue of DTTP, the summary minutes from midwinter should be there, and that passed as well. This is our treasurer, Mike. Our last general membership meeting, I was trying to give this a little personality. So, Mike, we're actually doing pretty well financially. The treasurer's report is one of these documents that you can download right here, but I'll just sort of highlight some things from that report. Our revenues were at $23,572. Our expenditures were $19,532. So we have a gain of about $4,000 this year. And our balance is $132,471. We expect to realize $7,000 from the serial set book sales. Another $1,800 will be deposited in June for vendor contributions towards awards and receptions. And you may, I'm sorry, some of you, if you weren't able to attend annual, it was just an amazing reception at Central Florida's campus. What happened at that award ceremony, the folks that won the Documents to the People Award, which is $3,000, were prohibited from accepting the money because they are part of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, a federal agency, and so that money was actually donated to the Riskuska Scholarship, so which was nice, very nice. So the sort of a tangential thing about the treasurer's report, I did attend the roundtable assembly, and it was pretty amazing to come out of that session realizing how healthy we actually are as an organization. It's easy to get sort of caught up as we're doing a lot of this reorg to get discouraged, but I feel like I think we're in a really, really good place moving forward, and you can see fiscally we're in a very good place, I think. So some of those some of our costs will be changing in the next treasurer's report as we begin to realize or understand what it means this fall when we go to DTTP fully electronic. Let's move on. I'm going to try to go through a lot of these really fast because I do want to give you guys opportunities to ask questions because we've done a lot of things in this last year. Bill, I'm going to give you a little bit more than what Bill actually reported at the general membership meeting because there were some things that were actually resolved by second steering. There were 3 resolutions that are actually 4 resolutions that were related to things that we had put forward or worked with other organizations to put forward. One of those was an acknowledgement of Mary Alice Bache's role as the 30th Superintendent of Government Documents. We did that with the Joint Committee on Legislation. I don't have a copy of that resolution up because I have a copy of that resolution, but it was draft at the time, and I didn't really want to put that up. But that will be published at some point on the wiki. We did also work with a number of other folks for a memorial resolution for Larry Romans, which is available in that file share right here. If you want to download that, you can actually download the whole shabam at one time. or you can do just the documents that you want. I would encourage you to read that resolution. He contributed so much to our community, and that was passed. There was another resolution that we had put forward for Carolyn Kohler, and I do know that I didn't get the final status on that, but I do know that it was going to be looked at. With John's passing, there's some things that are unknown at this point. So the other resolution that was passed, working with the IRC, which is the International Relations Committee, was this resolution on UN depositories. Sarah Patterson spearheaded that, did a lot of work initially with IRC and other folks, and that resolution was passed. So you can take a look at that as well. Some other things that he had mentioned at membership were there was a resolution about libraries building more inclusive communities, which was passed unanimously. Often in response to some of the activities outside, there was another gun violence affecting libraries and patrons that was put forward, that was referred to a committee. I think that is their kind way of voting no. But we'll see what happens at midwinter. There was another resolution on deaf culture digital library, which was referred to ASLA and the Committee on Legislation. And finally, a resolution in support of professional cataloging process, which was also referred to the Committee on Legislation. Okay, so Bill did report, and this is actually in this executive board and council report, that the latest conference figures were 17,750, which was 2,500 less than last year, but a little higher than Las Vegas. Okay, so this is where the membership meeting got a little bit interesting. We asked for action items from the task forces, and Justin Otto requested that steering work to change the name and the focus of the Federal Documents Task Force to the Federal Information Interest Group. And so what we communicated is that would require a bylaws language change. We don't have interest groups as a described entity within our bylaws, and so we would have to change that, and that change would require a vote of membership. Now, this doesn't mean that this is still pretty significant, because what I was trying to communicate to membership is that this really is the logical next step based on things that we've been doing in reorganization. And so what we did at Second Steering is we tasked Justin to work with we tasked the Federal Documents Task Force, because Justin is off of that as of Second Steering. The Federal Documents Task Force to craft some language around interest group that could be put forward for a vote by membership at midwinter. So We did respond to that in second steering, but so I didn't want you to think that we just needed to clarify to him that there was going to be a process that we had to work through to make that happen. So I was glad he did it personally because I felt like it really communicated that people are thinking about the implications of what it is we want to accomplish and where we're going. So it is a logical conclusion. So. Before I go on to the next item, anybody did anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask me based on what I just said? I'm sure you do. You can type that in chat, or since this is a small group, if you actually have a speaker, you can talk. But you have to activate your speaker. Okay. Seeing no questions, I will move on. Okay. So, committee reports. The program committee is actually going to be meeting. Can you type Sherry what time when you guys are meeting? I know you sent that out and I don't have it here with me. But they are going to do a virtual meeting actually using our Adobe GODORT's new Adobe Connect account. Okay. There you go. Yeah. And they're also going to be using a conference call as well. So what they're going to be doing is meeting to discuss programs not only for annual programs or pre-conferences for Chicago 2017, but I'm sure that they will entertain any kind of webinars that you're thinking about. This is your opportunity to, if you have some ideas, to again send them off to Sherry. And Sherry can type her email in so that you can know how to contact her. So asking, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. You did put an announcement on ALA Connect and GovDoc. There you go. Okay. So let me come back to Sarah's question. Can we have a vote of membership before the election next year? And you can have a vote of membership, but that change actually has to go into DTTP or to notify folks that a change is going to be voted on. And so that's why it would have probably happen at midwinter. Right. Now that said, one of the things that a corollary to that is that if we don't think that voting at that a voting cycle of midwinter and annual is very robust for changes, then there could be something that Sarah's cohort could work on changing, finding some other way for membership to have an opportunity to look at and to reflect on a change and vote on it. But that would be something that she would have to do, because there is a pretty clear process that is unfortunately based on that midwinter annual cycle. I realize I'm doing some tangent here, but that's all right. That's the nature of this. Um, Linda Kellum shared that the awards committee is working with GLBRT, which is gay, lesbian, bi, I can't, something roundtable. Gay, lesbian, bisexual roundtable. I think that is it. And GODORT. I may have butchered that, and I'm very sorry. Good thing I'm recording this. To work together to create a mentorship award in the honor of Larry Romans. I know that was put forward to the awards committee and accepted. They are actually really impressed with that. With that work, that some of our folks have been involved in the writing of that. I saw it as it was sort of going through the process. It looks really good. Valerie Glenn, also the chair of publications, just encouraged us to remember that the last print issue of DTP is this summer, and beginning in September 1st, DTP will be disseminated solely in electronic format. The files will be at journals.ala.org/DTP. Can you type that in there for us, Valerie? Thanks. Liaison reports. I sent out liaison report requests to IFLA and also the Freedom to Read, and we had no response back. So I had nothing to report at that meeting. What we did do was Sarah. I saw who she is appointed to, at least the Freedom to Read, which is, I believe, Mary Mallory. So hopefully we can hear back from them at midwinter and annual. So the executive board, the talking points. That's this document right here. If you want to, actually, that's not the talking points. It's actually the whole report. If you want to, again, download that and read that, feel free to. I didn't. A lot of that has to do with attendance numbers. There was also an encouragement in support of the new candidate for Librarian of Congress, whose name is, I just blanked on. If somebody knows that, they can type that in. So, shows you how well prepared I am. Okay. So what I did at membership was sort of talk through some of the activities. Thank you, Carla Hayden. Yes. The activities that steering has been involved in, and what I was trying to sort of get across is the fact that I think we've been fairly transparent about our conversations about reorganization, and our steering meetings have been open. We've had monthly steering meetings talking about our activities. Those activities, many of those have produced documents, which are in this document right here called GODORT Steering Documents, Reorg. And primarily, let me see if I have that here. What this links to is a lot of the things that we have been working on. GODORT, in its reorganization, we identified 5 programmatic themes. Things that we want to be doing and focusing on. is good programming, developing a strong community, and uh, scholarship, advocacy, and education and training. And so we basically asked for 5-year goals from all of our units with the idea that we would take those goals and begin to put them into each one of these programmatic themes. And I'll come back with a little bit more explanation uh, with that federal documents task force initiative that I talked about earlier. So the idea is that we would fill up each one of these buckets to determine at some point what resources we have, and we would evaluate goals to decide what it is we thought we could continue doing and what it is we needed to stop doing. Where we're at right now is we finished this stage 1 of the implementation plan, and again, the link to that document is in here. So we wrote programmatic, pretty nice descriptions for each one of these programmatic themes, as well as a draft mission statement. Now, I did, just for those who might not understand the process, these are all draft documents that are helping us. At some point, these will, if they become the thing we want to build our organization around, need membership to vote on these things, the language, etc. At this point, just to keep reorg going, we're calling them draft documents because they will change as we work through this reorg. They're sort of organic. So let me just give you an example of the federal document or the task forces in general. So what's seeming to happen is that they are recognizing that part of their goal and mission is about doing programs or discussion groups. They're putting out information, whereas in the past that was not all task forces did. So what I did in second steering was I pointed out the fact that each one of these units have goals, not just in the 5-year goals that they've written, but goals that are in the PPM, or the Policy and Procedures Manual. And what we need to do is, if the task forces are going to focus on a very boundary-laden set of tasks, then the things that they were doing before, we need to make sure that they go into the right buckets to determine, for steering to determine then who needs to do those things, or do we need to do those things. So like I said, the task forces seem to be going in a very, in my mind, in a very logical direction in terms of conversations that we've been having in the last year. Those similar conversations are going to have to happen with each one of the units. But again, we have a documented implementation plan. We have the programmatic themes and the mission statement written. And at this point, the next stages are matching those unit goals. And I would also, add to that the goals that can be identified in the Policy and Procedures Manual to be dumped into each one of these programmatic themes. That's the task that Sarah and Sherry will have to lead us through. So are there any questions about that? I'm sure there are thousands of questions, but I'm going to wait and let anybody, if you have something, just type it in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So as I said earlier, we have been steering has also been responding to the report that I should have mentioned in terms of the this old business. We have been working pretty closely with the the document that was submitted to us by the ad hoc committee on reorganization. Those programmatic themes actually come from that documentation, and even just looking at the rubric that membership nominally agreed on, we've been working closely with that in this the development of an implementation plan. So that said, we've also been responding to the ad hoc committee on virtual meetings. Great news recently got our ALA Adobe Connect account, and as I said, the first people to use that will be the program committee coming up here on July 14th. So the URL will look very different. It's not going to have psu.edu in it. And I think this is a great step forward for us. I have a meeting on Monday with our new virtual meetings coordinator, who we unanimously accepted at second steering, Samantha Hagar. Um, she actually, to be honest, was for me an inspiration because I sat in on a state and local documents task force meeting that she conducted in Adobe Connect, and I said, "Hey, we could do this. This is great." So, as far as I'm concerned, she set the trend for us. So, um, I'll be meeting with her, and there are a couple of faculty members from Emporia State that are part of the library science program that are very interested in um, how we are going to begin thinking about training our leaders how to carry out meetings virtually. And we're hoping to move more and more into not just virtual meetings, and we'll definitely need to do some training for our membership. But so we'll be working with Samantha and these two faculty members to develop some things. They're looking at it as a scholarly opportunity because they want to take some of the lessons that we're learning and possibly do some presentations with Llama and some other folks within ALA. So um, we'll be trendsetters. So let's see here. The other old business was we did vote as steering to eliminate the internal liaisons, and many of you saw that. We put the rationale out there on, I believe, Adobe Connect, and steering did vote on that to accept that. So I think it's put us in a good place, but again, we need to just continually think about how we can strategically place folks who want to be active. Okay. Before I get to that, so are there any questions about things that I've shared? I feel like we're in a really good place as an organization. We're putting in some good pieces. Clarify, will all GODORT virtual committee meetings take place on Connect platform, and when will it start? Well, it's starting July 14th at 2 p.m. Central with a program committee. Actually, it started, I guess it started a year ago. We've been doing a lot of our meetings on the Connect platform. So when you talk about us doing it off on our own Connect platform, that's that July 14th date. Um, will they all take place on that Connect platform? Um, I think part of thinking about what it means to be a virtual leader, or I'm sorry, what it means to be a leader in a virtual world, Adobe Connect is just one tool. We steering used Box a lot. I know that Sarah is probably going to use Google Docs, but this is again something that we need to be thinking about. How do we train our membership or inform them how to how to participate in a virtual world? Then we can't just assume that they know how to use Google Docs or know how to use Adobe Connect or know how to use Box. Um, we need to prepare our members and our leaders, and so that's a lot of what Samantha will be spearheading and leading us in this next year. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I know many of you were at the one in Orlando, and I appreciate you being here and support us. Okay, so we did spend some time at the end of the meeting remembering a number of our colleagues. Um, Kathy Tesla was at um, Carleton College, and she was actually one of our former chair of GODORT. Uh, so I suppose I'll just read these little blurbs that I um, cut and pasted. So, Kathy, after a brief stint at the Library of Congress, attended the University of Michigan, where she received her master's degree in library science in 1982. She stayed in Ann Arbor for 2 years, working at the University of Michigan Libraries before heading to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, to work in their libraries. While in Atlanta, Kathy served on the President's Commission on Women. She returned to Minnesota in '99 to take a position at Carleton Group Library to be closer to home. Kathy dedicated her professional life to balanced access to information. She was in leadership with the American Library Association, including chair of the Government Documents Roundtable. She specialized in collection development and management and oversaw the transition from print information to e-information in the library setting. In 2014, after 15 years with Carleton College and over 30 years of library science, she retired. Carolyn Kohler, she was actually my boss when I was in graduate school. I worked in their government documents department at the University of Iowa. She grew up outside of Chicago and attended Northern Illinois University and received a master's degree in 1968. She was head of the Government Documents Department at the University of Iowa forever, well, from 1971 until her retirement in 2004. She served on the Iowa State Library Commission, assisted the U.S. Government Printing Office with programs for libraries containing federal documents. She wrote numerous publications for professional journals, library journals. She also led many professional workshops, including one held in Brussels for EU librarians. And from 1980 to 85, she served as the executive editor for United Nations and foreign government documents for the Government Publications Review. She received awards for her professional contributions, including the 2003 James Bennett Child Award winner, which one of our James Bennett Child Award winners is attending this session. Congratulations, Helen. I'm not gonna read Larry's resolution. You can read that. Stephanie Bronstein did a really wonderful job. Did a slideshow that was married to that resolution. Stephanie has a great sense of humor. Brought a whole bunch of different photos of Larry that sort of highlighted different aspects of that resolution. It was really wonderful. And of course, the recent passing of my good friend and colleague, John Schuler. Uh, we will, we have a big gap in our community. And, we've talked a lot about how important advocacy is to us. And he certainly was an advocate for government documents. And so we really are going. I was actually challenging. John and I were really close last year. We spent a lot of time just talking about how we can mentor folks to step up to sort of demystify what it means to be part of legislation. And we were actually in the process of talking about some of the ways that we could do that in this coming year. And so we're going to have to demystify it without him, unfortunately. So if you have interest, I was really impressed as I watched him mentor Susan Patterson as she walked through the process. And I think that we have some amazingly capable folks within GODORT. They just need to sort of not be, best way I can say is not be scared to do that. Because there's this idea that, oh, that's really hard to do, and it's not. We have some really talented folks, and there's a really clear process about how you write these resolutions, and we just simply need some of our folks to step up and to do it. I know that Larry actually did it in response to a challenge that Larry Romans had sent out on email about being an advocate and actually being engaged, and John took that bull by the horns. So we will miss him. We will miss him. So that's all that I have for our virtual membership meeting. I want, before we close it, I want to make sure if there are any questions or things that we need to. Well, Sarah's here. Things that she needs to be thinking about, and Sherry's here as well. Things that we need to be thinking about as we're moving forward. I should have put a note thing there. Well, thanks. Thanks, Helen. Well, thanks, guys. Very nice of you. Okay. You guys are embarrassing me now. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. That's good. Thanks to all of you. Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay. So let's just do this officially. If you hit your raised hand, that will be a sign that you are the one that is motioning that we end this meeting. Okay. Yeah, you heard somebody out in the hall speaking. Okay. So we will stand and recognize you, Rebecca. Okay, and now we need another hand to second that. And we will take, actually Melanie's raised, and then all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, I'm just being cutesy, I'm sorry. I just need to figure out how to raise my hand. There we are. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. We're done, and thanks for attending. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, we got that from Melanie. That's all right.